What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Will, coming back for another episode of Field Note Fridays powered by Bowtech. On today's episode, we're going to be talking big game, and specifically, we're going to be talking about caliber and ammo selection to chase Western big game with Mr. Eric Miller from Federal Premium. Now, Eric has a ton of experience. He's got a lot of knowledge, so he's going to be bringing y'all some serious nuggets for y'all to learn from. So we'll make sure you might take some notes on this one. But nonetheless, I'm going to quit rambling, and we're going to get right to it on caliber and ammo selection. All right, Eric, well, you ready to get this thing rolling?
I'm ready.
All right, man. Well, Eric, first and foremost, just want to thank you for taking the time to hop on the HuntStand podcast. And for this episode, for Field Note Fridays, man, we're going to dive into selecting the right caliber, right cartridge for chasing big game. But first and foremost, just want to say thank you for hopping on with me, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime we get to talk big game and, chasing elk or mule deer, I love getting to do it. And so what I love to do to get the podcast started, I like for the guest to get the listeners kind of that 30-foot tree stand view is what I call it, of who you are, kind of that 30,000-foot view of who you are. Tell us where you're from and how you gotten into what you're doing today.
Sure. Well, I guess the 30,000-foot level would be, I grew up, I'm from Minnesota, currently live in Minnesota, but grew up hunting and fishing with my dad. Was fortunate enough to, at a pretty young age, go out west. We did some Colorado elk hunts together, did quite a few big game hunts together, and that was kind of our time to bond. And then as I graduated college and got into went out into the workforce, I started in retail in a gun store and kind of made that my career, and have worked through various companies through the industry, but currently work for Federal Ammunition as the centerfire rifle product manager, and still get to do what I love, and still obviously very involved in the outdoors, big bird hunter, run a British lab, and then try to take every opportunity I can, whether it's through work or personal, to hunt. And that's everything from whitetail to elk. And I'm doing a DIY moose hunt here in a couple of weeks with some buddies. So, any chance I get to get out there and be part of it, I take every opportunity.
Sweet, man. That sounds like fun. So, we're talking about the right topic at the right time, huh?
Yeah. Yep. It's getting down to it, and all the seasons are, coming up pretty quick on us. So it's the perfect time.
Man, sweet. Well, I want to talk about big game. And when I say big game, I know one of the things that I've kind of noticed since being in the outdoor industry, that there's some people that they include whitetail in that. And some people do, some people don't. I don't. And so just for the listener's perspective, when you hear us talking about big game, we're talking about elk, mule deer, moose, caribou. We're kind of talking about your Western big game as this conversation is going to pertain. So, Eric, we're probably going to hit on I guess you could almost call it a sensitive subject, but let's talk about, in your opinion, what you believe to be the best caliber to go out and chase Western big game with.
That is a loaded question, Will. So it is, to some people, it's Ford or Chevy. There are so many offerings of caliber that are out there. Everybody has their opinion based on, personal experience. Maybe this is what I started with. But, and I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer. You could list pros and cons for each one. And a lot of it comes down to personal preference, the gun that you own. Do I want to look at one of the new calibers, PRC? Mm-hmm. Do I already own a 7 mag or a 300? What did my dad shoot, et cetera? There's a multitude of reasonings behind what you pick.
Yeah.
I guess when I look at it and when I talk to people at shows and on podcasts such as this, I really start and say, what are you comfortable shooting? Are you recoil sensitive? Generally, how far are you comfortable shooting, and what do you think your normal range would be? We would all love to be able to shoot 500 plus yards, but in reality, a lot of us that maybe hunt out west, we don't get to practice that far. And I think that's a key part of it. But just looking at the ballistics, looking at what you might hunt, one caliber for everything. I guess I would go back and I'd say my personal opinion is 300 Win Mag. It covers everything. It's a little bit of a recoil heavy gun, but there are a lot of bullet availability out there, and most places, whether it be in the West or in Alaska, you can pick up a box of 300 Win Mag. It's not necessarily hard to find. There's a lot of bullet availability as far as different manufacturers, different styles, carries energy well out to what most of us would be able to shoot. And, kind of if I were to make one choice, that's where I would land. But I think I could play devil's advocate for a lot of calibers. But if you were to put me in a corner, that would be my choice.
Man, I think that's a caliber that a lot of people go to. And I myself almost did it, but I don't want to say I got talked into, but I recently purchased a 6.5 PRC. And because I think when a lot of people look at it too, kind of what you're talking about, they kind of want that all-around gun that just about covers everything. And so, yeah, that 300 definitely covers it all, man. Definitely. So,
yeah, yep.
We probably got a lot of people right there that they're steaming right now just because you said that. And so I'm okay with that, right? I love these sensitive subjects, and so I want to move on to the next part of this conversation, and because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on why you picked that and everything, but it pertains to that 300 in federal. What are you looking at when it comes to bullet or cartridge selection? And specifically, let's keep it to elk and mule deer, because that's what's coming up upon us. We've got elk season; it's fixing to roll in. Guys are going to start chasing mule deer here before long. So let's keep it to that. What should they keep in mind when selecting the right bullet, chasing after those two?
I think a lot of it comes for a lot of people. I don't want to say it's not a hunt of a lifetime for everybody, but it's a special hunt, right? Whether it's elk or mule deer, you're going out west. No matter where you go, Colorado, Utah, take your pick, New Mexico, doesn't matter. I think the first part that I would kind of concentrate on is making sure that bullet caliber shoots in your rifle. Everyone will shoot a little bit different. So sometimes, unfortunately, you have to try a couple to get one to shoot. And then when you're looking specifically at the 300 or the caliber, I'm looking for flat shooting.
Yeah.
So that I'm comfortable adjusting, and with the new optics that are on there, you essentially can dial them in and be comfortable shooting if you've practiced at that distance. And then getting down to the bullet, it's the point of contact with the game. So you want to make sure that you're shooting a bonded bullet. You want that weight retention, energy transfer, and you want to be able to carry that out to the distance that you're comfortable shooting. So mule deer is a little easier because they're obviously just a little smaller. But an elk is a big square. They can take a lot. So in that bullet, I want to have, not always going to get 100% weight retention, but I want 94%, 95% plus. That depends on the range. If something steps out at 50 yards, it's pretty hard to hold that because the bullet's moving so fast. But I want that weight retention. I want that bullet to transfer all of its energy into the bull or into the buck, and make, it's on us to make the good, clean shot, but the bullet is what's going to transfer all that energy and do the work for you.
Now, when you're talking about bonded, for the listeners that may not necessarily understand what a bonded bullet is, can you explain that to them?
Sure. It's so there are two types. There's molecularly bonded, which is in federal is within our fusion lineup. So it's the copper is chemically bonded to the lead core. Very uniform, very concentric, very accurate. It's not a tipped bullet, but great weight retention. It's molecularly bonded. The other one that I would talk about is in our terminal ascent lineup. the lead is bonded to the copper jacket, and that in terminal ascent, we have a copper base to it. And then the lead is bonded inside of that. So when the bullet peels back and the petals, the skiving allows the bullet to expand and peel back, the bullet weighs essentially the same as if it's 180 grains when you shot it, it might be 172 when you recover it, if you can recover it on the other side. So it maintains the weight all the way through. When you talk about a bonded bullet, the lead and the copper jacket are bonded together.
Gotcha. Okay. So then in terms of Federal's lineup, I heard you talk about the Fusion, Terminal Scent line. Are there any lines, other ammo selections that y'all have that would fall in that bonded line?
Yeah. So we've, Federal started when they originally we loaded other people. So we loaded Nosler Partition, bonded bullet. We load the best bullets in factory loaded ammo so that you can have a wide range. But in the premium lineup, there's Nosler Partition, Nosler AccuBond, Terminal Ascent, which is a Federal match bullet, but it's a hunting bullet. Trophy Bonded Tip, which is a Federal made bullet. Then you get into Swift Sirocco, again, a bonded bullet, very similar to like a Nosler AccuBond, or even essentially similar to a Fusion. And then you get into the solids, which are your copper, non-toxic Barnes TSX, Trophy Copper, which is an all copper bullet.
Gotcha. Well, man, what are you going to be using chasing after moose?
We're going caribou hunting. I'm going to shoot a 280 Ackley, and I'm shooting the Terminal Ascent bullet in the 280 Ackley.
Gotcha. Now, why did you choose the 280 Ackley instead of the 300?
Well, I went on this same trip essentially 2 years ago with two different buddies, and then when we came back, two other friends of mine said, "Hey, I'd like to go." I said, "I'll go again." And so the first time I shot my 300 win, and then this time I recently bought a 280 Ackley and just kind of changed it up. So I thought I'd bring something different. So I'm still 300 fan, but I have the new rifle and want to put it through its paces. So
sweet. What I gotta ask, man, what are your thoughts on the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.5 PRC, taking those out west?
I think they are both great calibers. 6.5 Creedmoor, love the bullet, love the way that it shoots, very flat shooting, low recoil. Bullet, when I look at it, probably a little light for elk. And I know that might, there's probably a lot of people that say I've shot elk with Creedmoor, and I completely agree, but probably a little bit on the lighter side as far as energy.
Okay.
But for mule deer, I know we're not talking about whitetail, but for probably game smaller than elk, I think it's a great caliber.
Perfect.
And then the PRC probably steps up from that. And again, really flat shooting. You're going to be very comfortable shooting it, and your bullet weights are getting up there. So it does carry out the energy. And you just be comfortable with how far you're shooting it and look at your energy out to your yardage. And I think it is a capable elk. I'd say it's maybe a little bit on the light side. Again, I know there's probably a lot of people out there that are going to be raising their hand when they're listening to this, but it is a great caliber. It's, it's new, but it is really gaining popularity and has been really popular.
Man, I have a feeling I'm going to be getting a bunch of emails after this. We might have to come back and do another podcast. Well, man, I know we're keeping this short and keeping it really quick, sweet, to the point for Field Note Fridays. Any parting advice that you might have for listeners when it comes to caliber and cartridge selection?
Yeah, I think the biggest out there is find the ammo that shoots in your rifle. Be comfortable shooting it. You don't want something that you're sensitive, that you're going to flinch or that is too big. Most guides and outfitters, I think, would tell you they'd rather have a client, or when you go out, that put the bullet where you want to and don't be thinking about the recoil or any portion of that. And then just practice. If you can consistently practice and shoot at 200, 300, and 400 and know that when you put the crosshairs on, that's where the bullet's going to go. It kind of takes that out of it when it's in the field and you don't really have to think about it when you're out there. It's just second nature.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to compare against having trigger time and putting rounds down range. But being comfortable with what you're shooting, obviously knowing your rifle front and back, knowing where it's going to shoot, and then just being confident in that the bullet and the rifle are really accurate.
Love it, man. I know that'll probably help a lot of folks out there, especially a lot of them that are looking at those rifles and cartridges as it's that time of year. A lot of people are getting ready for it. So, man, just really appreciate you taking the time, hopping on the podcast with me and diving into this. I know, like I said, probably going to get some emails out of this one, so I'm sure you and I are going to revisit this on a longer form podcast.
That would be great.
Love it, man. Well, Eric, appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Will.
All right, y'all, there you have it. If you've ever been wondering about what kind of caliber you should select and what kind of ammo you should select to chase after Western big game, hopefully those have been answered for you now after we've talked to Mr. Eric Miller over there at Federal Premium. We really appreciate his time hopping on and just giving y'all some knowledge, giving y'all some wisdom, tips, so that whenever you're in the store trying to pick out your next ammo or your next rifle, whatever it is you're doing, you'll be able to make a better educated decision. So we just want to thank y'all again for tuning into the HuntStand podcast on Field Note Fridays powered by Bowtech. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you on the next one.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.